Hi Chris, congratulations on your new role. How does it feel to be the men's first team manager at Lincoln United?
Um, a bit surreal, really, to be honest. Naturally, I classed Sam and Redders as friends, as people that I care about. So to be in this situation is a bit surreal and sad, really, given the fact that they've both resigned and both Lincoln United club legends. But having spoken to them both, they both thought that the best thing for the group of players was some form of continuity, and that was matched by the board of the football club as well. So for the next 8 weeks, I'm down as the interim manager, but the obviously sole objective is to try and get some points on the board now, and turn our fortunes around. Hopefully, that can start on Saturday. Really.
So you've got 9 games left this season. Do you have any specific aims that you'd like to achieve for the rest of the season?
Um, I've been with the I've been doing a few sessions with the men's first team for a couple of weeks now. Albeit only one game, which was the Tadcaster game, the last one. Um, the aim is, and is to try and make us as solid as possible, really, in terms of the goals that we're conceding. Um, but really, people want to see good performances. Naturally, as a manager, you want to see good performances. The players want to put in good performances, but the main aim is to get points on the board, um, and ultimately, that needs to start as soon as possible because it was not so long back we saying you've got 12, 15 games left. We're now down to 9 and time moves pretty quickly. So we need to ultimately the main aim is to get points on the board. No matter how that comes, we just need to, whether it's draws, wins, whatever that is, we need to start accumulating some points to distance ourselves from that bottom three. And yeah, as simple and as basic as that sounds, that is the main objective, really.
Word on this weekend's opponents, Hebburn Town. They beat us 2-1 last time at their place, and they're only 3 places above us in the league. Is this a fixture that we can go into with confidence?
Yeah, so I've been at every men's game this year in my role as on the board. Um, when we went to Hebburn, I was really, really impressed with their fluidity, how they played on the day. And looking back, I would go as far to say that their performance, particularly first half, was as good as any I've seen at this level of football this season. They were absolutely superb. So yeah, I think we expected them to probably be higher in the league and maybe in and around that playoff spot. But first season at this level, they're mid-table. It's a really, really good position for them to be in. I'm expecting them to be good. I'm expecting them to be um, as they were when we played them last time. Being at our place, it gives us an opportunity to impose ourselves. It's a long distance. It's a long travel for them down from the northeast, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but they've also uh, parted ways with their manager this week on Tuesday night. So we'll be focusing on ourselves, but it provides us with an opportunity to get some points on the board. Like you say, a couple of places above us. I think it's 6 points between us. So it's we need to make sure that we are in a position to impose ourselves at home and be on the front foot in order to try and get a win.
So you mentioned earlier being slightly more resolute in defence. Are there any other tactics or specific details you're going to be bringing in or working on in this game?
No, not necessarily anything different. I suppose as a coach, as a coach, that's just where I'll be focusing my efforts, really, in terms of our defensive structure all over the pitch. That's where I'll be focusing in the work over the next 9 weeks. In terms of goals scored, we are. I think if you look at goals scored in the league, we're mid-table to ninth, maybe not. So scoring goals isn't necessarily an issue. Um, we've got a fantastic player in Matt Cotton that's, I think, third goal scorer in the league, which is fantastic feat given where the team is in the league. So my efforts will be focused on being, like I say, more resolute in our structure defensively and what that looks like moving into the next 9 weeks. Not necessarily anything different, and we're limited in terms of any new manager, they might get their own players and all that sort of stuff. That's not necessarily going to be the case. It's a case of working with what we've got, because the deadline to sign players is only 2 and a bit weeks away. So it's going to be a case on that's where we'll be focusing, and hopefully that if we can ingrain what I want in the next 2 or 3 weeks pretty quickly, that'll see us improve with some form of defensive stability.
And finally, are there any squad updates or injury updates? Any changes before tomorrow's game?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a difficult one coming in off the back of Sam's resignation midweek, and obviously I would speak with Sam regularly, but Sam had probably had more of a handle on where the squad was at in terms of people out on loan and people who was maybe in and out with the devs and with the first team, and who's injured, who's not. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind of a week, really. It's taken me a bit of time to get my head around where people are at and who's doing what. So there isn't going to be a huge amount of change. There might be a couple of new faces, but also familiar faces that I think can maybe strengthen us. But ultimately, the squad will be pretty much as is. So that's where we're at, really. I don't really have a huge amount to update you on, given I've only had one training session with them and only managed to speak to a couple of people. But ultimately, yeah, there's not going to be a huge amount of change. I think let's get Saturday out of the way, and then I might be able to see, where players are at, who's where, who's doing what, and then assess what we need as a squad. But ultimately, like I said, the time is pretty short, not necessarily on our time in terms of signing players, whatever that looks like. And ultimately, I don't necessarily think there's a huge need to. There's a couple of areas which I think everyone would maybe look at and agree that we need a couple of recruits in there. But overall, we just need to be together and work hard at what we need to work on, which is ultimately our structure defensively, and hopefully that we'll hopefully we'll see the benefits of that in the next couple of weeks, I hope.